Do you believe the government has done enough to engage with the concerns of young Nigerians, especially as they continue to voice these frustrations online? What is the government doing to bridge the gap?
All right. Definitely, the government hasn't done enough, and I mean, as little as has been done, a lot more is needed to be done, and we are very hopeful because we are in a government led by someone who believes in, speaking up, and he believes in changing a situation that it's not favorable or bearable to the majority of the populace. He's been about that, and he hasn't changed, and he's not going to change now that he's the president. On the part of guaranteeing the safety of people who speak up, yes, he's very, very strong on that. I mean, there are only a few persons you can point to in modern day Africa as Democrats, ahead of our current president. So for that responsibility alone, it's his responsibility to ensure that people who speak up, as enshrined in our constitutions, are protected. And I don't think being online, and I mean, he has repeatedly, stated something about it is possible that a government comes in and you're not very pleased with what the government is doing. It might not be because they're not doing right. It might just be because of misunderstanding, because of miscommunication. And in any case, whatever the reason is, you shouldn't hate your country. You can't insult tradition. You can't curse your nation. When the time is right, there is always the opportunity for you to change government. That's why we have, that organized chaos every 4 years, called election. So it's always an opportunity if you plan on time, and seek God's face, and listen properly, and put in the diligence, put in the work. You're always guaranteed that the nation will end up with the best that we can afford at that particular point in time. That has always been it. So in any case, I mean, without the president, without speaking for the president or anybody, I mean, it's a thing of pride as a Nigerian to tell ourselves as concerned as we are, which is what I've seen in the entire 30 days run challenge that I've seen. I've seen a memo from young Nigerians who care about the nation and are sending memo to those in charge. And I mean, we're not happy with the way things are. This is how we currently feel, but we want to feel better. They are invested in this, they are connected to this, and that's exactly how the government sees it. So I don't think anyone should be, afraid of any such as reprisal or backlash or intimidation from any agency or any part of government. Mr. President and, of course, his government does not believe in such, and that's exactly what's going to be upheld.
Okay. Let's go back to Peter in the house. Can we have Peter? Okay, Peter, you just heard what Mr. Aliyu said, and as much as it sounds conciliatory, it still hasn't actually addressed the frustrations that the youth are actually facing. Whether we like it or not, these frustrations do exist. So if you feel that talking to the government is like not getting the desired result, if you had 5 minutes with a top government official, for instance, what would you say to them about the struggles that Nigerians are facing?
Thank you very much. Look, without mincing words, let us be very honest. Nigeria is in dire straits. Nigerians are in a battle for survival. And if nothing else tells you the clear picture of what Nigerians are going through, few days ago, the presidential spokesperson or aide, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, put out a statement that the president is on his way to France for a 2-week working visit. And while in France, what the president is trying to do is to get an appraisal of his government and to retreat and reflect on his own reforms. Meaning, after spending money in 2024-2025 budget to renovate the presidential villa, the vice president's home, the president's house in Dodan Barracks in Lagos, and the vice president's home in Dodan Barracks, buying private jets, and in a country of 774 local governments, the commander-in-chief does not have a proper location in Nigeria to reflect. but the president jets out to reflect about his policies from a foreign country. The president wants to reflect about his policies and has yet to make a statement on the 30-day rant challenge of Nigerian youths calling for help, where the cost of living is killing the living. Tomorrow it is Uromi killing. Next tomorrow it is Benue, it is Ondo, it is Plateau. What exactly is going on in Nigeria is an outright lack of accountability. And that is why for this 30 days ranting challenge, it will not just end with ranting, it must be backed up with action. Nigerian youths need a system, an electoral system that can guarantee free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections so that you can be able to elect proper leaders. And that is what my own call to the president is. Thank God his aide said he is a Democrat. The hallmark of every democracy are free and fair elections. The president has to commit to that process in 2027, where people will not be beaten out of polling units like it happened in Lagos in 2023, so that Nigerian youths can begin to live and not just exist or struggle to survive. What exactly is there as an incentive to be Nigerian today? The institutions are almost stacked against you. Law enforcement is almost against you. The judicial system is not where you can go. The market is not what you can even afford. There is just sheer hopelessness across board. And that is what you are seeing us do in these 30 days. And if anybody as a leader is listening, then they should be taking practical steps to resolving these issues, most importantly, guaranteeing a free, fair, and peaceful process in 2027, and that is what we must ensure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Peter. So let's get back to Jalingo in the house. Okay, good to see you.
Thank you.
Now, I wanted to ask, what protections should citizens know they are entitled to under the Nigerian law? And what do international organizations and human rights bodies play in holding the Nigerian government accountable for its responses to public dissent?
Well, thank you so much. First, I should apologize for stepping in a little late.
Better late than never.
Yeah, thank you. So talking about the rights that Nigerians need to know. First of all, I think that Nigerians need to know first that we have a right to rant, and that the freedom of speech is guaranteed under our constitution, and
without fear or intimidation.
Without fear or intimidation. As a matter of fact, I keep referring to what happened in the UK in 2021, that two judges, Justice Welby and Lord Justice Bean, they said that the UK doesn't have a written constitution, so they are run by decisions of parliament and court judgment. They said that if your rights, your freedom of speech is only includes the right to say nice things, then you are not free. The judges said that your freedom of speech includes the right to insult and offend the other person. Because if it is just about saying nice things about you, then I'm not free, as a matter of fact. So, and like the essay was saying to Mr. President, this government has consistently tried to criminalize the right to speak, the freedom of speech in Nigeria. They claim that there's freedom of speech, but consistently they have continued to use the Cybercrime Act to see how they can criminalize our right to speak. I have been a victim. I have been on trial for talking. They have been tried under the Cybercrime Act, and not long ago, the court discharged and acquitted me. So the Nigerians need to know that we have a right to speak, number one. And then this government has, I couldn't have believed that this government will come and criminalize the right to protest. I was the Secretary General of June 12 Coalition, and at a point, the relationship, as a matter of fact, let me say it here, that it is this president that was funding the June 12 Coalition. So we had a relationship, and these are the things that they taught us. We were cadres in the movement. I couldn't have believed that a government led by Tinubu, Dele Alake, Bayo Nanuga, all these names, our comrades, that at some point, we will no longer be allowed to go and carry placards. And this is what they taught us to do. This is what we were going to their houses to collect monies, to come and do placards. They gave us bonfires, they gave us petrol. We were the ones that were hanging out on the streets in the night to burn tires, to make people stay at home. Then suddenly under this government, we don't even have any space to protest again. But Nigerians also need to know, because you asked me about rights, that the right to protest, the right to be out there on the street, the right to rant is our fundamental human right. And let me also add, because almost most Nigerians in the South are Christians, that I want to ask, I don't go to church, but I feel tempted to go into the Bible and talk about it. That in the book of Kings, when David increased taxes for the people, 11 tribes of Israel went to meet him and said, these taxes, this burden is too heavy on us. It was a protest. And the king said, okay, we will do something about it, just like Nigerian leaders will always tell us. Just go and come back. And that same Bible said, the king, Jeroboam, consulted with his younger friends who told him that, don't mind them. And when they came back, he said, my father whipped you with whips. I will whip you with scorpions. I'm not going to listen to you. And that was what led to why the 11 tribes of Israel separated from the other one. And the country became divided. Protest is even biblical. It's not just a constitutional right. It's also a biblical right. You have a right to protest when you are angry. And if your kings will not listen to you, you have a right to overthrow them. So talking about rights, they know. And then when you talk about the role of the international organizations, I should say that organizations like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and the rest of them have actually been our allies in this struggle. In recent times, in the past 2 years, a number of activists, a number of journalists, a number of social media commentators have been arrested. There is barely any week that passes in Nigeria today that 1 or 2 persons are not arrested either by the federal government or municipal governments, like the local governments, or state government, somewhere in the country. In fact, as a matter of fact, right now, somebody has been arrested in Bauchi and is going to be charged for talking and all of that. So, but in all of this, Amnesty International, some of these organizations have been able to stand by us, intervening at every point in time to give legal support and all of that to see how. And then our own organization, the Take It Back movement, Shora is everywhere and all of that, trying to see how, whether he knows you or not, once he hears that you're arrested, people are always there, and these organizations have been giving the support. I also know that in our Take It Back movement, Amnesty International recently supported a program we did by profiling human rights abuses in Nigeria in the past 2 years. And we had to launch that report at a hotel in Ikeja. So some of these organizations too have been playing. I myself, Shore and Mandate were declared prisoners of conscience when we were arrested and locked up. And that also helped to internationalize the campaign. And they have consistently continued to do this for Nigerians that get into this kind of pitfalls. And I think that it has helped to give us some confidence on the field. Okay,
let me get back to you, Deborah, because you are the Sorosuke in all this our gathering. What I want to ask is that what has given the Sorosuke generation the fearlessness, the courage to come forth? But another question I also want to ask is that why doesn't it have long-staying power? What is it amongst you will do that does not have longevity to stand the test of time when it comes to your movement?
I'll say stagnancy has given us the ability to speak up. Stagnancy, repetition of the same cycle. I'm 20 and I bought 1 egg, 25 naira. I'm buying 1 egg now, 250 naira. It is the same cycle every single time. We've lived through these things. We have seen it that, okay, this is how this thing always goes. And with the way it's going, it doesn't look like it's going to turn out good for anyone. The energy of the 30 days rant has seriously deteriorated, and it is just sad because Nigerians don't know how to be united. Nigerians know how to remove the relevancy out of a subject and make the irrelevant things become the relevancy. Look at Ms. Raye, who spoke up about the whole hardship in the country. We still had fellow Nigerians whom she was fighting for come out to say, no, she's lying. Look at her Instagram pages. She went for outings in December with her friends. If she's suffering, will she be able to go for outings? Is that what should be coming out from the mouth of an average Nigerian? You are the one suffering. Even this person you are accusing of, she's quite financially capable, but she's still coming to speak up. If someone that capable can be crying for help, how much more people who are not even capable the least to survive 3 square meals in a day, how much more those people who can't even send their kids to school? So stagnancy is what has brought out the fear in our generation. We have decided that things cannot stay the same. We will not watch things stay the same. They keep saying we are the leaders of tomorrow. Tomorrow will come and we'll be missing yesterday. We would say, no, yesterday was better. Just last week I bought this thing 500. How is it 5,000 naira today? It cannot continue like this, and this is why we the youths have decided to take it upon ourselves, because we are the ones who will still live to see this country 30, 40 years from now. And even our past heroes, these were the things they fought for that even made things become how it is now. In 1995, for instance, dollar was at 85 naira. $1 was 85 naira. As at 2022, $1 was about 450 naira. It took dollar 27 years to go from 85 naira to 420 naira. Currently, dollar is 1,500 naira. Within 2 years, just 2 years, dollar went from 400 to 1,500. within the next 2 years, we don't even know what dollar is going to be talking about now. And we might not even survive it. An average Nigerian youth is surviving, not living. We are not going to wait for that.
I wanted to say something about Raye.
Yeah.
I wanted to correct something. He said Raye is capable. Raye is from my place, from Obudu. I know her. We followed her. Myself and Shore followed her to the NY office in Etiosa. I know her. I know her dad. She's from my place. She's not capable. She's just a young child who is outspoken. Her father, this country killed her father. Her father was an immigration officer. I wrote about it. He invested his life savings in a palm plantation in Obudu, in his village. The former governor of our state, Governor Ade, said he wanted to do an airport and colonize the land belonging to about 4 villages without compensation. The father came from Calabar, traveled to Obudu, and went to confront the person that was operating the bulldozer to see how he could stop that man from entering his plantation. It wasn't possible. They entered and demolished his life savings in his very before. He collapsed. Wow. And they rushed him from Obudu to the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital in Calabar. That's a journey of 6 hours within the same state. And he got, 2 of them actually collapsed. He got there and he died. This country killed her father. And the mother was left alone to cater for them. She was 19 when this happened, 5 years ago. The mother had to take them through school alone. She is not capable. She's just a young, poor child who was angry about what is going on. I needed to correct that. I know her personally.
Okay, let's get back to Aliyu. Mr. Aliyu in the house. Can we have Mr. Aliyu, please?
Yeah, I'm here.
Now, it's talking about, if you heard these stories and very sad stories about financial incapability and what the average young Nigerian is going through, which reminds me, which brings me back to this NYSC issue that the salaries will just revert. It has just been given now to set at 70,000 naira, equivalent to new minimum wage. But my question is, how realistic is this figure in the face of soaring living costs? Are there plans to review or adjust it to reflect current economic realities? And beyond figures, what subsidy or relief measures is the government implementing to ease the hunger and hardship many are facing?
All right. Before I go into answering your question, let me just say something to my younger sister in the studio there. We are all still very young. There's a lot to learn. You know, sometimes you think we know a lot about what we really don't know so much about. So what I will advise is, it's okay to want to have an opinion, but it's always good. It's an informed one. So the first thing about rebellion, it's seeking other ways to understand whatever it is you want to rebel against. You need to have clearer understanding of the real situation with the aim of doing better than the person who you currently don't believe is doing as good as you expect him or her to do. So in the process of seeking that, a lot more might just be exposed to you, and it will inform you and probably shape up your journey, and your purpose. Coming to what the government is doing, it is easy for us to say it took Naira 22 years, 7 years to go from certain amount to certain amount, and certain years to go to, it is very easy. We can count time, we can mark time by that, but we can also mark time by other happenings. Life is a people, a time.
Yeah, but you haven't answered. You haven't
defined the time.
You haven't gotten to the answer of my question, which was that
what Mr. President has done from the very day he took over power in his capacity as president has been a continuation of what he has done in his personal life from the point he understands what it is to be a Nigerian, and he understands what the Nigerian dream is and how he can add value to it. What that has been is exactly the answer to the question you're asking. There is no country on earth that has all its problems solved.
Yeah, but you haven't answered the question itself.
Need for further existence.
Mr. Ali, the question
answering
itself
the question.
is
You are probably just not listening.
I am listening.
You are probably just not listening well. I'm answering. Don't be confrontational. You seek
I'm not being confrontational.
If you ask me a question, then let me answer. Don't try to tell me how to answer it. Don't do that.
Go ahead.
Don't do that.
So go ahead.
We've had an economy that we all agree has been managed poorly and wrongly for decades. We have a population that, as we currently speak, increases by at least seven. A child is born within 7 seconds. That's an increased responsibility, and we think we have enough oil. The highest amount of oil we've ever pumped out was in 2006 or sometime 2007, 2.5 million barrels per day. We can't even do that now as a result of lack of efficiency and effectiveness. This isn't done by, I mean, we can give out, we can be very charitable, but the number keep increases. How much can you really give out if what is coming in is constant and what you are given to is continue to increase? We need to find ways to ensure that we are able to use the resources we have, the fixed resources, to meet our insatiable need and insatiable wants, which means we are going to have to apply knowledge, which is where we are stuck on as a people. We are very educated, but in the application of knowledge, we are lacking behind. But there has to be structural changes to the management of the affairs of this country for that to be effective. We have tertiary institutions, we have leaders opening universities left, right, center to compensate themselves or compensate their words. But what is coming out of it? We have doctors in different fields. In energy, we don't have light. We have professors in education. We all agree our education is not in where it should be. We need to look back at ourselves and say, okay, the last guy didn't get it right. The one before him didn't get it right. I mean, when people say they are activists, and I ask myself, you have problem with the military, you have problem with the people of 1999 to 2003, you have problem, I mean, you have a problem with everybody. You might have problem with yourself if you get in.
Okay, thank you very much. You haven't quite answered the question.
The question is, it is not what the country is going to do for you, it's what you will do for the country. Okay, because you are the country.
Thank you,
when someone says Nigeria killed somebody, Nigeria didn't kill anybody. Ineffectiveness of Nigerians killed somebody.
Mr. Ali,
inefficiency of Nigerians killed some, not Nigeria.
Thank you very much. I don't know whether I got the desired result I wanted, but thank you for your answering that question. We're going on a break right now. Grab a cup of tea. We haven't gone anywhere, not going anywhere soon. And see you right back in a minute or two. Welcome back to Perspectives. So I was just going to talk to Jalingo, but let's bring in Peter first. Peter, you heard what Mr. Ali said, that it's not what you do for the country. It's not what you do for the country. It's what you do for the country and not what the country does for you. Okay? I want you to respond to that first. And then secondly, I want to also bring to your attention that many movements have come and gone, some costing lives, yet none have led to real change, losing momentum without lasting impacts. Do you think the government will dismiss this movement yet again as just another fleeting trend? Do you understand? And if you had to talk to somebody from the government about the pains of the people, what would you say? So these are two questions in one. A response to Mr. Ali's comment and also what I just asked you.
Okay, so in response to the comments, let me just make it clear to you that one of the most difficult jobs in Nigeria or in the world today is speaking for or trying to defend the APC federal government. It is a very, very difficult thing to do because you know why? There is nothing there to defend. So you remember that the APC campaigned for 16 years of PDP misrule. In fact, this president was part of a protest called Occupy Nigeria when the then President Jonathan was trying to remove fuel subsidy, which he eventually have removed today, and yet the devil is in the detail in terms of implementation of sanitizing the oil sector and NNPC. So, and then by 2027, President Tinubu's administration will be 12 years, or APC will be 12 years put together. Imagine living in a government of renewed hope and experiencing the kind of unfortunate hopelessness that Nigeria is experiencing. So it is difficult for you to explain what the federal government, the APC-led government is doing. But I can give you some. A government that knows that more than 100 million persons were living in multi-dimensional poverty by the end of Buhari's administration came into power. And the first priorities were deciding to renovate a vice presidential home for 20-something billion, purchase of new private presidential jets, a presidential yacht, renovating the villa, money for purchase of SUVs for the office of the First Lady, which is not even a legally recognized, constitutionally recognized office. So when you see the frivolities and wastages in government, and then that same government in turn begins to ask the people to make sacrifices. So it is we who will think of what to do for our country, while the leaders continue to live in luxury and affluence using taxpayer money. Look at the National Assembly. Immediately they came, they shared monies for themselves and purchased bulletproof SUVs, one for more than 160 million. Yet the minimum wage of that country is 70,000 naira. And that is a country where leaders are still demanding sacrifice from the people. So at what point does this sacrifice end? At what point does President Tinubu, his cabinet, the senators and his government begin to make sacrifices? The president is a former governor. He's on life pension from Lagos State. The vice president is a former governor. The senate president is a former governor. So with all the resources that are shared, 60% of Nigeria's corruption is administrative. Inflation of government contracts, budget padding. Who is sanitizing and fighting that corruption? But you cannot say anything because the government does not even feel beholden to the people. And that is why no matter how much Nigerians continue to cry, it falls on deaf ear. Why? Because they know that the electoral system can still be manipulated to rig people back into power, using also the Nigerian judiciary. So if I have the ears of any Nigerian politician right now, I will want them to know that power is transient. You cannot be in power forever. If you don't leave power, power will leave you. Nigerians are not demanding for too much. We only need a country to live. As a Nigerian youth, demanding for a better country, I'm not a criminal. There are known criminals that are not being attended to. But once you voice out against the government, they come after you. So Nigerians must decide whether we want to live as slaves in this country or we want to live as freeborns. And that is why I'm telling you that this 30-day challenge must not end with just the 30-day rant. There must be maximum civil pressure on the authorities. Number one, we must reform our electoral process. That is the backbone of corrupt politicians. They know that they can meander their way into the public office without consequences and accountability. So if I'm talking to Nigerian politicians, I'm telling them, your time is up. You either do the right thing for this country or a generation of young Nigerian leaders will wake up and will succeed where you people have failed woefully and continue to fail us. Because Nigerians are hungry, Nigerians are dying, the tension is palpable and the frustration, and the leaders are completely detached from the reality. It is unfortunate, but we as Nigerians must find the wisdom and the courage to fix these institutions, or else we continue to remain victims of these institutions.
Interesting that you say this. Jalingo, let me bring you back in the house. What do you say to support this? Do you also feel, what do you think that needs to be done in case this 30-day challenge, for instance, nothing concrete comes out of it? What more needs to be done to get your points across?
Okay, I will say that. But I'm interested in saying something about Mr. Aliyu. Because when he was talking, he made a veiled reference to my comment. So I want to respond to him. If you have been watching this program, if you have not been watching, maybe you watch the replay, you will notice that when Dr. Aliyu was talking, if you see his demeanor, if you look at his face, you will see that he suddenly became angry when you were pushing him to give you the answer to your question. He started by massaging the young lady in the studio. My younger sister, I want to appeal to her. And the next thing, he was telling you not to push him. He wanted to have the floor, and he became angry, literally on his face. That is the attitude of this government. I even think there's an insult to call a young, a 20-year-old person a small girl. I don't find it funny because in this country, we have seen people at 23 who became ministers and all of that. In my state, we still have, my governor was 46 and all of that. Now, that is the attitude of this government as reflected by Dr. Aliyu. In that brief 2-3 minutes, that is the attitude of this government. He was wondering that activists, people say they are activists. You are angry with the military. You are angry with people from 1999 till now. The truth is that have the ideals of June 12 been fulfilled? Have the ideals of the democracy, which we carry placard for, have they been fulfilled? The answer is no. But these people, the moment they give them power, imagine that a Dr. Aliyu has power, and I have the capacity to ask him questions. In 2 minutes, look at the annoyance. If he had a litany of policemen and soldiers, he will move them against me. That is exactly what Nigeria has been doing under this government. Have you also noticed that almost every prominent saboteur, economic saboteur, and murderers, mass murderers in Nigeria, from the north to the, maybe the southeast is still the only region that is isolated now, to the south-south, where I come from, they have all been compensated with either federal government contracts, Tantita in particular. Some of them have been made traditional rulers. They have been given thrones. These are tenures that will never end until dead. Government officials are patronizing mass murderers and economic saboteurs and turning them to strongholds in this country. And those of us who are asking for change, just make one line, they come and arrest you. I was arrested and charged for treason for saying that my former governor mismanaged 500 million naira meant for a microfinance bank that is still not working till today. Instead of the security agencies to go after the person that mismanaged our money, they came after me. And I was charged for treasonable felony, attempts to overthrow Buhari and Governor Yadi. I don't know how this country is working, but the people that are destroying this country, carrying arms, once you have the, I call it the AK-47 economy. They are moving on with it. Once you have the capacity to kill in mass, after 1 or 2 years, they'll call you, negotiate with you. Either give you a traditional throne, or give you a contract to go and secure some federal government assets, or make you so prominent, fund you with so much money. As a matter of fact, there's a bandit leader in Zamfara State that was declared wanted. The day he came outside to collect an award, he was surrounded by policemen, and the local government chairman was seated there in the occasion, a man that had been declared wanted by the Nigerian army and by the Nigerian police. That is how this country is functioning. And they come to talk about this, our movement. Dr. Ali said something there that there's no country that has all its problems solved. And I agree with him absolutely. But what I'm saying is that our target we may not be able to eventually stop corruption. But if you can put a stumbling block on the part of those who want to steal our money, it's some form of progress. We may not, I don't think there's any country anywhere that has been able to stop corruption completely. But what we can do is continue to mobilize ourselves to put stumbling blocks on the part of those who want to steal. Let them know that if you steal, there will be some form of consequences. You may not go to jail in Nigeria because if you steal enough, it's only poor people that go to jail in Nigeria. I've been to jail, it's only poor people that are there. There's no rich man in prison because they're not ready to send themselves to jail. But our target may not just be to build a paradise here, but to be able to put stumbling blocks on the parts of those who want to destroy Nigeria. But government is not helping it. Our government is patronizing violence. Our government is patronizing crime. Our government is funding those who are destroying this country, and they are running after young people and innocent people who are calling for change in this country. And it is very, very disheartening.
Thank you for your passionate speech. Let me ask you, Deborah, first and foremost, we apologize for calling you the long surname. You're Deborah Ajayi, right? Adebi, we stand corrected. So I want to ask you, if you had to speak to the government now, what are the immediate things that you want them to address concerning the youth? What are the first few things that spring to mind?
Nigerians are not asking for much. All we are asking for is a country that is working. A country where a youth does not have to choose between survival and their dreams. I am a university student. I don't want to have to drop out of university because of poverty. I don't want to gain my degree and then end up selling popcorn at the junction because I didn't get a job. We are asking for a country where the youths don't have to sacrifice their visions for survival. And that is what we do every day. We put up survival across even what we want to dream of, what we dream of becoming, because food must be put on the table. That is the essence of we are surviving, and that's not what we want to be doing as youths in the country. If I saw a government official right now, I'll tell him to listen to us, because we are speaking, we are screaming. The people you claim to govern, we are complaining. We are bittered. We are going through hardships that even the policies you people make oftentimes ignore. Let our voices guide you. Let it guide your paths into what we want for a better country, starting from the inflation rates, to the level of employment, to the educational system, to the transportation. Just bare minimum is what we are asking. We can start from there as a nation.
Thank you very, very much. Please, can we have Ali in the house? Ali, I hope you have calmed. I hope you have calmed down. So I want to ask you, given the scale of frustration expressed in this movement and within our guests today, there's a growing sense, as you know, of disconnection between leadership and the people. So what key misconceptions about government policies do you think the public needs to better understand in order to engage more effectively? How does the government intend to bridge that gap and rebuild trust with its citizens?
Okay. Let me start from trust. I mean, it is clear that for those who understand what nation building is and understand what patriotism is, you agree that part of the biggest challenge we've had over the years has been lack of cohesion between the led and the leaders, and that has always brought about mistrust and the inability to, comprehensively, explain, motives and purpose. And there are a lot of reasons responsible for that. And on the back of that, I will quickly say something to my brother in the studio there, who came at me for projecting his thoughts on my personality. Now, I reacted to you trying to corner me on how to answer a question because it is a known trait with your platform. And I'm not one for such. That's why I made it clear.
Point of correction, I did not
on the other side of it, I need you to understand the fact that I don't work with a president who do not think or who does not understand the need for service, who does not understand that the people are the most important part of any system. However, like a dutiful father, he knows when to be firm. He knows when to apply wisdom. He knows as a leader, the most important task you have is vision. That's your most important responsibility. Vision, you need to visualize where you want your people to be. The goal of that, it is not the strength of those in government, but it is the strength of the weakest among us. But if you do not build a house that is strong enough to carry everybody, there is nothing you can do about that. And what his reforms have been about righting those wrongs. And I do not understand why we look to the Western world who understand how these things are done better. But let's look at them. Is it the Chatham House? Is it Bloomberg? We have recognized global institution giving vote of confidence to his reforms and policies. These are things that have been wrong for us. I am 43 years old. In any case, you said I don't think I called her a small girl. I said my younger sister. I'm even old enough to give birth to her. I'm 43. She's just 20 from what you've said. So I have not disrespected her in any way. And don't try to misrepresent people or misrepresent issues just for clickbait. That is why people go to jail, why others don't. It is. See, let me tell you something about rebellion. Prometheus, the god of rebellion itself, who brought fire from gods to man. If you look through it, it doesn't have to be fire. It might just be light. It might just be knowledge. It might just be information. It might just be fact. Verify it. The act of ensuring that what you say, what you do is the right thing is an act of rebellion. It's not shouting, it's not no. Every disagreement is to come to an agreement. I am telling you simply that we've moved from the path of a Luther of the decades ago to a path where Mr. President, like you rightly said, you say he was protesting or leading protests. Today he is president. SAN, Festus Keyamo, is a federal minister, back to back. He was one of those who led those people. He worked closely with the late Ganifa Wahimi. How much more understanding do you think you can have about patriotism or about activism?
I think you are speaking for your salary.
When you do not know how to transform, when you do not know how to transform, when you do not know how to transform from being an activist to actually getting into the system and doing right what you want other people to be, you become a lifelong activist, throwing stone at every occupant of the house that you are supposed to get in and lead right. Let's not mislead the younger generation.
Mr. Liu, do you
Let's
know
not
the
look
cost
at it
of
like
a bag of
everybody is
rice
wrong.
in the market?
I have a younger friend here who says they are going to use this
Dr. Liu, I'm asking you a question. Do you know the cost of a bag of rice in the market?
One particular part
do you go to the market?
Law that you want changed now. I bet you.
I'm sure that as we are talking now, policemen are waiting for you outside the studio so that when you finish, you will enter an SUV. Policemen and civil defense, people's fathers are waiting for you now as we are talking. So that when you finish from here, they will carry you home.
Mr. President,
you do not know the cost of energy. You don't know the cost of energy. You don't know the cost of rice.
He was one of
you are
the
speaking
finest
for your money.
As at the time. I mean, if you look at the challenges, you know, that they try to tie to him, the issue they try to tie to him about the funds and everything else, then it shows you how much figures.
You are telling me about Chatham House.
USD that he was exposed
the
to.
Chatham House, the Nigerian people. The Chatham House vote Tinubu.
He has his green passport.
The Chatham House vote Tinubu.
At a young age, he did everything.
Nigerian voted Tinubu. Our lives have become worse, and you are there talking because they are paying you salary.
Country, he's running.
Be very careful.
We have consistency in Lagos. He is the president today. That alone shows you a success story.
Okay, thank you.
That's the hallmark of a change maker.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. Thank you, Mr. Liu. I think you were trying to get some words in.
Yeah, I'm trying to ask him a question. He's talking about reputable organizations that are giving credit and rating Tinubu positively. And the question I am asking simply is whether Chatham House or whatever international organization Dr. Ali is talking about is rating Tinubu positively. Did Chatham House vote for Tinubu? Okay. Was Chatham House in Nigeria to vote for Tinubu? He's speaking for his money. As he's talking, policemen are waiting for him outside to carry him home. He doesn't know the cost of what he's selling in the market.
Let me just ask Peter one last question. Can we have Peter in the house, please? Just one last question for Peter. And we cannot talk long. Peter, can we have you back in the house? Can we have Peter in the house, please?
I have run for an election. Have you?
Okay, Mr. Liu, thank you so much. Can we have Peter in the house? I have one last question to ask Peter. How does this growing mistrust of politicians affect Nigeria's development? What are the long-term consequences if the youth remain disengaged from governance and decision-making? 20 seconds, please. What are the long-term consequences of the youth distrust with the government, and how can this affect us on a long-term basis? Okay, Peter, go on.
Hello, Auntie Ruth, please, can I respond?
Yes, please respond, please. And make it brief.
Can you hear me, ma?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead, go ahead. I can hear you, go ahead. I can hear you. Just talk, we can hear you. Okay, it's unfortunate that we can't get Peter's response there. It's unfortunate that we couldn't get Peter's response there. So let's, as you can see, this was a very, very combustive. This was a very combustive conversation that we had this morning. Okay, Peter, can you respond quickly to that? Quickly, yes. How do we move from here?
Let me just say that we will move from here by changing this narrative and building a system that can hold people accountable. And I take exception to the words of Doctor describing someone and something that I said as, being ignorant. You see, this grandstanding and high-handedness by the ruling party will take them nowhere. And that is why Nigeria is failing and is becoming a failed state under their watch. Because the only institutions or systems that are working in Nigeria is corruption and criminality. And also the statement that there are traits on this platform to corner people to asking questions. Arise News is one of the leading journalism houses that is trying to hold leaders accountable. And any attempt to ridicule, the capacity that they bring must be checked immediately, because this current administration does not like free speech. And before you know, they can bring the NBC against you. But let me just say this as a final parting statement.
Yes, 1 second.
Nigerians must make sure that we build a system that can hold our leaders accountable, which will begin with the electoral system, because that is their only arrogance.
Thank you so
much. They know that the INEC is the weapon faction.
Thank you so much. We've run out.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we've run out. Change is never born from silence, and history has proven that when people rise and demand better, nations are forced to listen. The days of quiet sufferings are over. Nigerians are awake, their voices are loud, and their frustrations can no longer be ignored. Thank you so much for being with me here on Perspective.